What if 1 year from now you are 40% happier? That's not fucking magic. That's science. According to positive psychology, 40% of your happiness is driven by daily mindsets you choose and the actions you take. Not your past, not your DNA, but how you live on purpose. And that's exactly what we do in Thrive Midlife. Hey, I'm Coach Kira. I created Thrive for women over 40 who are done doing it alone, sick of numbing or second guessing, and finally ready to build the confidence, connection, and meaning in this next chapter. Thrive is a 6-month science-backed group coaching experience that blends positive psychology, emotional regulation, neuroscience, creativity, and a wildly supportive crew of women. Inside, you'll get a full personal life assessment, 3 one-on-one coaching sessions to map your unique path with me, weekly group workshops with real tools, skills, and mindset practice, and a kickoff retreat in Madison, Wisconsin this fall with me. Think apple picking, pizza farms, goat petting, cider-fueled breakthroughs, and lots of cheese. So if you're looking for a place to learn, laugh, cry, unlearn, grow, and finally feel seen, empowered, and moving you forward, this is it. Learn the tools, feel the joy, build the friendships, find your worth, and start living like you fucking mean it. All of the information about Thrive is now available at thrivemidlifeprogram.com with the early bird discount through May 31st, 2025. Get in there. Life is weirdly a lot harder than we've been told. And midlife? That's a whole other can of worms that I was completely unprepared for. But here's the good news. There are so many new skills and mindsets that we can learn to make even the toughest days a little bit better. You just haven't learned them. Welcome to Thrive with Kira, a smart and square podcast for women in midlife that teaches the skills to get more joy and love in your life. Join me weekly as I teach science-based, smarty-farty topics and break them down into bite-sized lessons that you can apply to your life, all while sharing my own shit show life stories that you can learn from. I'll be talking regularly about getting more joy on a daily basis, thriving in midlife, yes, you can, figuring out menopause, healthy dating and relationships, building self-worth, growth mindset, adult friendships, and also just easy mindfulness. So we can stop just surviving and start learning how to thrive. Well, hello there, Sugar Pantses, and welcome back. Welcome back to Thrive with Kira podcast. This is Kira. I'm your host. See how that works? It's amazing. I'm a life coach. I'm a positive psychology nerd. I'm a midlife hype woman. And I might even be your new best friend because I share the fucking truth about what it's like in midlife. And I think that's important. So this has been a fun couple of weeks, everybody. I turned level 52. I'm having feelings about it, but overall I'm doing okay. The number seems to fuck with me a little bit. It's like I'm embracing aging. I'm embracing the strength, the fire, the passion, the rage, the ridiculousness. But the number kind of kicks me in the ass. Anybody else feel that way? It's interesting. But the best part about my birthday is some of the Thrive ladies were here this weekend for a long weekend. And we had an amazing time. They gave me presents that made me cry. We had good food, lots of cheese. It was pretty fucking fantastic. Best part for me was we even dressed like Mrs. Ropers for our local Pride event at the zoo and had a crazy great time, although none of the Gen X kids knew who the fuck we were. So that was humbling. But there's a picture up on Instagram and on the Thrive page. If you guys haven't seen it, and you can see me in my caftan, in my wig. It's pretty fantastic. I feel like Mrs. Roper would be nothing but impressed. But a shout out to my ladies who came, who got deep with me, who got silly with me, and are now even more connected. And it just felt really fucking good. Because if we don't have community and laughter through all this midlife shit, it's rough. I think we all need it. It's the reason I created Thrive. And I just put up last night some nice perimenopause, menopause videos, and it's amazing to me. There's already thousands of likes and shares because women didn't know. Nobody warned us. And that's not necessarily our mothers and our grandmothers' fault. They didn't know most of the information either, but we do now. And that's what matters. So today I wanted to come over here and talk about something that I see coming up pretty regularly. And I think it's a little bit of a different thing, particularly for Gen X, elder millennial ladies. And it's a conversation that I'm having with people interested in Thrive, different clients over the years, and even myself. And it's about laziness. Being lazy, acting lazy, doing lazy, being blah, blah, blah. And also, or why we don't change, motivation, willpower. And I'm not just talking about a diet, because there might be some things you really want to change. Maybe it's adding more boundaries to your life. Maybe it's doing daily mini meditations to help your self-compassion. It could be a lot of things. And if you're like me, particularly with ADHD, we probably start for a little bit, but then it doesn't stick. And then we beat ourselves up. And then here we go again. And that's what today's podcast is about. Let's get the fuck into it. Who here has ever pulled the "I'll start it on Monday" deluluness, delusion, lie on yourself? This was me for years, particularly around food and exercise and weight gain. I have PCOS. My weight seems to love to hang on to me like the kitten and hang in there posters from the 80s. You guys remember? That's how much my weight loves hanging on to me no matter what I do. That's not why we're here though. But for years and years and years and years, I beat myself the fuck up. And I would start on a Monday, wake up early, drink warm lemon water, do some breath work, maybe walk, ideally journal, meditate, all of it. I would try to cut carbs. I would say sugar is my enemy. And then usually I would say I would make it to Wednesday, tops, maybe Thursday. By that time, I was saying, fuck it. I felt like I was denying myself all the things I loved. I would be going crazy inside my mind and then go out with friends, have a meal that was cheating. And then the next day I'd be, fuck it, done, right? Eat whatever I want for a couple days. And here we are back on Monday again. And the years that I did that, the years that I kind of put my body through that and then beat myself up for it was not a couple. Let's just put it that way. Now let's talk about why that keeps happening. So I am not saying anybody should not do any of those things. That's not what I am saying. But what I am saying is that I know now that's not how we change. That's not how change works. And there are so many reasons why I kept going back again and again and again to former habits that I wasn't particularly proud of. So the first thing I want to say about change in general is we want to change. We see maybe a better version of ourselves or our relationships, but nobody tells us that change feels like crap at first. It just does. In fact, sometimes it feels like a full body rejection because wanting to change and being neurologically able to change are two different things, right? We can want something, but if we have not addressed why we're doing what we're doing, how it is serving us on the day to day, looking at where it came from, and then setting ourselves up to change slowly and surely, we will just keep spiraling. We will just need to numb on TikTok or Parks and Rec reruns or whatever is your thing to not have to think about how shitty our willpower is and how bad we are at this. So let's talk why I think this is particularly true for our generation. That's part of the thing that I talk about. I'm not talking about baby boomers. I'm not talking about millennials or Gen Z. I'm talking about Gen X. And I do see you, my elder millennials. You guys are very similar to us. Good for you and sorry. But as I've mentioned on here, we were latchkey kids. We were the figure it out yourself generation. We walked home alone. We watched unsolved mysteries, unsupervised. We had milk cartons with kids' faces who went missing. Fuck, that was scary. And we learned all of our life lessons from sitcoms and teen movies and John Hughes movies. And for as much as I love John Hughes movies, and I do, that shit was not life lessons. Nobody in our life was like, "Hey, how are you feeling?" They were like, "You're fine. Shake it off. Here's some hamburger helper. Go help with dinner." So we did. We became the helper, we became the fixer, the I got it person, even when we might have been quietly losing our minds on the inside. Now we're 45, we're 50, maybe we're 52, but we're tired. We're tired. And it's not because we're weak. We're tired because we have been in people pleasing, overgiving, or avoidant shutdown survival mode for decades. And now we probably want to feel better. We probably want to like ourselves more. We probably want to stop overthinking and not have to hang on to every decision like it's life or death. Our brain is like, I don't know what any of that means. I'm going to assume it's dangerous because it's different. So let's not do that. I love to bring a little bit of the neuroscience or the science in general so you understand what's happening. Now, what's happening is when you've spent your life being hyper independent, your nervous system doesn't recognize peace. It recognizes overfunctioning, it recognizes crisis, it sees rest and goes, error, error, something's wrong, sound the alarm, danger, danger, Will Robinson. So even if you want to do something different, even if you want to change, even if you try to change, your brain slams the brakes because new in your brain's idea equals scary. The thing is about our brains are they were evolved to keep us safe, not happy. I'm going to say that again because I want you to really hear it. Our brains are there to keep us safe, not happy. Now, what that means is that it wants to do the same thing again and again and again, even if it doesn't feel good. It wants to go to the same people, the same situations, the same job, because new can feel very scary, and your body and brain translate that as unsafe. So not only are you trying to maybe add a new habit, break a habit, your brain, when you're now pushing it, trying something new, trying something different, it's pissed off. It does not like it because it likes safety. That is the gift and curse of understanding happiness on the level we do now. The curse is, it turns out happiness is not a destination. There's no life that you can build where you just arrive and then things are easy and great for the rest of it. It doesn't exist. Happiness is not a destination. You have to actively choose it through your choices, through your mindsets, through your daily activities, for who you allow in your life, for what you choose to focus on. And we weren't taught any of that shit. We were not learning, here's what you do to feel better when you're struggling. Here is what you do when you have people who are sucking on your teeth and taking all your fucking energy from you. Maybe they're related to you. It's very possible. We are from the era of suck it up, buttercup. We're from the time where it's stop the insanity, no pain, no gain. I really feel like, listen, women have been told how they should look and what's wrong with them for many centuries. I don't think they had been inundated with so much constant information about what's wrong with us like we were. And when your entire identity has been wrapped up in being maybe the competent, the calm, the capable, the controlling everything, but hopefully nothing goes out of control because even just a little bit can feel like chaos. So, yes, it's true. Change can be really tough. When we learned that the only way to change was willpower. And if you don't change, you know what that means? That means you're lazy. But I love a couple of years ago, a great new book came out by Dr. Devin Price, who's a psychologist and author, called Laziness Does Not Exist, which I think is a fantastic fucking title because it makes you go, I'm sorry, what? But I read it years ago. I loved it. It's one of the better books that I've read in the last few years. But one of the things Dr. Devin Price breaks down is this: laziness is a judgment we throw at ourselves when our capacity doesn't match our expectations. Whoosh! I loved that. In other words, you're not lazy, you're exhausted, or burned out, or overwhelmed, or don't have the resources, or don't actually have the correct motivation, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. Or you are holding on so tightly to what you know because of, I hate to say it, trauma responses, lack of healing, but lazy? Nope. Really, one of the biggest things that I've learned over the last few years in this work is that people are not lazy if you are not doing something that you really, really fucking want to do. It's fear. It's fear of change. It's fear of failure. It's fear of letting yourself down or others down. Laziness doesn't exist. Even Kathy, our 80s cartoon, do you guys remember that? All she wanted was a cookie on her break. Nobody let her have it. But she was the avatar of female burnout 40 years ago. But she wasn't lazy. She was overstimulated, overworked, undersupported, and constantly at war with a world that told her she had to have it all and, of course, go hungry and diet while doing it. So let's talk a little bit more about the brain science. As I mentioned, your brain's job is not to make you happy, it's to keep you alive. That's it. Joy, clarity, confidence. Nope. Your brain clings to what it knows, even if what it knows is people pleasing, over apologizing, silently resenting everybody in your life. Neural pathways are like little hiking trails in your brain. The more you do something, the more worn in that trail. So if you have been doubting yourself since 1988, that bitch is a freeway. Meanwhile, the path for speaking up clearly and kindly is a patch of weeds nobody's walked through since, I don't know, maybe the Clinton administration. Now, change lights up your brain's threat responses. Trying something new is like your brain yelling, stranger danger. Who remembers stranger danger? Yeah, I know. You might physically feel it, racing heart, sweating, forgetting what the hell you were even doing. And that's your amygdala. She is dramatic. So this is what's called sometimes the lizard brain, the reptilian part of your brain. It is the least evolved part of your brain, and her job is to keep you safe. Bless her little anxious heart. But she thinks setting a boundary and being chased by a bear are pretty much the same thing. Now, add perimenopause or menopause to the mix. Add just the hormone shifts that may start as early as mid-30s, maybe even early 30s. That messes with your memory. That messes with your focus and how your brain handles stress. I have admitted on here that anxiety, now depression and I are good friends, my friend. Depression and I are good friends. We work with it. But I have never been anxious to the level of a panic attack or an anxiety attack. And since I've got perimenopause, I have had 2 big panic attacks. And that shit is not for the weak. I really had no idea. It was terrible as I was going through. Luckily, I had some pretty good tools in my toolbox of just doing this work for so long that it was shorter than it maybe was going to be. But fuck, that shit was scary. This is not your brain falling apart. It's just that midlife reboot. Now let's talk about the other piece of the puzzle that I love to talk about, and it's motivation. Now, I just found this out a couple of years ago, but as soon as I did, I was like, whoa, this explains a lot. Because here's the hard truth that nobody warned us. Willpower isn't motivation. And if you want to change and cannot change, it doesn't have to do with willpower. It may have to do with you doing the same thing and your brain keeping you safe that way. But also something that nobody taught us was that there are two different kind of motivations. So let's break it down. There is extrinsic motivation, and that means that we do something for others' approval. I'll do this so someone else approves. I'll work out and try to lose weight because I want my partner to stay attracted to me, or I am dating and I feel not as comfortable in the body I have right now, right? But that's temporary. It's shaky. It looks great on Instagram and it collapses by Friday. So extrinsic is when we do something for external awards or gain. Now, the other kind of motivation is intrinsic motivation. I want this because it actually matters to me. This is the magic sauce, my friends. This is it. It's driven by curiosity, by values, by purpose, not shame. So all of those things that maybe over the years you've tried to do and you have beat yourself up on because you can't get it done or that doesn't go as quickly as you want, or you tried and failed a bunch of times, I want you to ask yourself, why? Why are you doing it? What's your motivation? What's your deepest why? And I bet you will find out that it was for other people. And most Gen X women were taught to build lives that look good on the outside. We were taught to be useful, to be helpful, to be grateful and quiet. So if you can't even hear what you want, which by the way happens all the time, where I'll work with somebody and they're like, I don't even know anymore, right? I had kids, or I've been married for years, or I've been so deep in my work that I don't even know what feels good. That's a survival strategy. That's not a failure. And it's one that we can unlearn together, particularly in Thrive. So let's take a little detour into something we think we need more of: willpower. Now, this is not a new concept. I feel like in Gen X, our lives were steeped in this idea, right? The Tony Robbins seminars, the every 80s and 90s workout video that screamed no pain, no gain, while a woman in electric blue spandex who was probably 19 years old did a high kicks next to a man named Chad in probably very, very tight clothing. You remember Stop the Insanity, Susan Powter? We were told that if we had more willpower, we could change anything: our bodies, our minds, our lives, our destinies. And then we were taught if we didn't have the willpower, we just didn't want it bad enough. But here's the truth: willpower is not a character trait, it's a resource. And like any resource, it runs out fast. Your willpower lives in the prefrontal cortex, which is different than the amygdala, where all the drama is. And that's the same part of your brain that's trying to remember passwords, make grocery lists, and not scream during Zoom calls. And it gets depleted like a phone battery. So every decision you make drains it a little bit more. So just push through. I mean, that's cute, but that advice is trash. Willpower won't save you. Systems will, support will, rewiring your brain will. And that's what I teach you to do. And here's the most fucked up thing, and I believe I talked about this last week on my podcast, Why We Don't Like Ourselves More, is that living in the world of no pain, no gain, like you just have to push yourself. You just have to almost shame or hate yourself into change. They have proven that is the opposite of productive. They have proven that not only will that shame and that blame and pushing yourself shut you down, you will most likely rebel. Your body will, your brain will not do what you want it to do. And it will be counterproductive to what you want. What I have learned is learning self-compassion is what moves us forward. Self-compassion helps us look at what's not working be kind to ourselves, not shut down, which is what the blame and the shame does, so that we can actually put together systems, support, and real help for change. So, what does work, right? So, if willpower doesn't work, if none of us are lazy, all this shit, what does work? Understanding your brain, number one. Understanding also your why. Why did you learn this? What was it saving you from? How do we replace it now? Also, baby steps that can feel silly, but actually do the rewiring. Next, emotional regulation, AKA not losing it every time someone loads the dishwasher wrong or cuts you off in traffic or just breathes too loudly. It's hard to want to change if you are not even able to control your emotions. It also helps when you have a supportive, judgment-free community of people doing the exact same hard shit around you. Resting without guilt. And then lots of laughter, because healing shouldn't be boring. It shouldn't be tiresome. It should be fun. So many people come to me, and I never saw this happening. I didn't. But I realize that they trust me, they trust my process, but they don't trust themselves. I get questions like, will I really finish this? What if I stop participating? I've tried so many things before. Why is this different? That's exactly why I created this program, for true fucking change and literally daily support from me to help you get there. Because that part's individualized, right? I'm talking to all of my clients on a regular basis, talking about what they're going through. We're all learning the same thing, but the conversations I'm having individually are different. This is why I created this program. It's why it exists. And it's not to help you optimize your potential. It's not to help you pretend that this midlife and perimenopause and menopause aren't hard or don't exist. But it helps you look at what the fuck's important to you, what your meaning and purpose are, how to talk to yourself in a way that actually moves you forward, and getting support and community through the whole process. And you get to hang out with me in Madison, Wisconsin in the fall, where there are things like goats, petting farms, pizza farms. Not sure what a pizza farm is? Reach out to me. I'm going to tell you. Ice cream, actually at the place where they milk the cows. I'm serious. Wisconsin is a special fucking place. So if you know you've been stuck and you want to change, and the only reason that you're not working on this is because you just think you'll fail again, you just think you'll get stuck again, you're not broken. You're just human. And probably up until now, you have not been set up to succeed. Maybe you listen to a podcast, maybe you read a book and say, why am I not doing this? Information is not transformation. Practice, application, doing it again and again, first in safe spaces with me or with the community, so that you then feel safe enough to do it with your partner, with your family, with your parents that are aging and probably driving you nuts, with your siblings, even your kids. Change is hard. It's not impossible. And you're not too old. You're not too far gone. You're just tired. And you need tools and support, and maybe to pet some goats and sheep and other awesome animals. And that's what we're doing in Thrive. We make science doable. I make it fun. And you might even dress up as Mrs. Roper in the process, because I think that needs to be a thing from now on, right? So if you're curious about Thrive Midlife, I have extended the early bird till the end of this week, till Sunday. You can jump on a phone with me or reach out and ask me any questions. And a few of my ladies who were here this weekend said they're happy to answer questions as current Thrive participants. So you can just reach out to me and I will give you their information and you can talk to them. You can talk to somebody who maybe was unsure or just wasn't sure what this process was going to do and is now doing it. All right, guys, that is it for today. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I want to know if you learned something from this podcast, whether it be about laziness not existing or extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation or the bullshit about willpower, whatever it is. I want to hear from you. Kira at thrivewithkira.com. You can also slide into my DMs on Instagram. That's where I am most of the time. But I know thousands of people are listening to this podcast again, but I rarely hear from anybody. So I am giving you permission. Reach out to me. Tell me what showed up for you. Tell me what stood out. Tell me where you're still struggling and let me know if I can help. Let me know how I can be great for you. Okay, guys, that's it. Thank you for joining me again. I'll be back next week. And until then, stop surviving. Let's fucking thrive.